Especially during the years of junior high school, young teens begin to struggle with the desire to be accepted by their peers, gain more freedom from their parents, and begin discovering who they really are. This time in growing up is particularly rough because this is when disagreements between parents and their children move from whether or not the child can eat a cookie before dinner to whether or not he or she can go to the movies without a chaperone for a first date. Although most young people come upon this struggle while in junior high, I, because I did not have any genuine friendships with my peers during those years, did not go through this until early high school. Because my dad died when I was only 5 years old, my three siblings and I were raised by a single mom who has had to take on the role of both mother and father to her kids for the past 13 years. Since she had such a hectic life, driving us to and from school every day, making sure we were fed, and resolving arguments that arose between my siblings and me, she never really had the time to teach us about effective communication and how necessary it is in life. Because I did not feel confident in my communication skills, I could not even approach my mom with the problems I started facing as the years passed. Instead, I suffered the consequences of a negative relationship with my mom, and we argued incessantly. I kept all my pain inside, but it manifested outward onto my mom in the form of bitterness. My mom saw this as disrespect, and so I spent many weeks in high school grounded or serving other punishments that never really fixed what the real problem was. I never really knew how to communicate effectively with anyone, so I kept all my worries, thoughts, and issues to myself, and never found guidance or relief concerning my troubles. Without being able to communicate effectively, I was unable to form positive relationships. Sure, I had my friends, but the relationships that I believe are most important are those within the family, in particular, relationships with one's parents. So, since my mom and I did not have a strong, positive relationship, I ended up feeling lost, lonely, and hopeless. This hopelessness grew so grave that I, back on March 27, 2012, ended up being admitted into the hospital for attempted suicide. Through the 9 days I spent in the hospital, I learned lessons about life that I am so glad to now know. On my first day there, I met a guy whose bright personality and upbeat outlook on life, despite his current situation, completely opened my eyes to what had been missing for such a long time. Friends! Because I had taken the spring semester 2012 off, due to an earlier attempt at suicide in January, I was never around people, and I had grown so secluded and lonely. All along, I had my mom there, but since neither one of us had taken the time to build a positive relationship with the other, her presence and her company had become two separate things. Had my relationship with my mom, or really any one of my family members, been strong enough that I had gone to them with all the struggles I was experiencing, I probably would not have become desperate enough to swallow those 80 Advil that night in hopes of never waking up. Now, however, after months of therapy and numerous counselors, who I continue to see every week, I have strengthened every single one of the relationships in my life, that between my mom and me especially. One of the first steps I took in building a positive relationship with my mom was to trust her. Trust is key in a relationship because, without it, neither member will feel safe enough to talk about their genuine feelings. He or she might fear that this information will be divulged to others or that it will change everything between the two because so much judgment will be passed. I had to realize that my mom would not judge me. I had to learn to trust her. Once I started doing so, I could open up to my mom and share with her the emotions I felt and why I had grown so hopeless. Another thing that I learned to put in my relationships was assertiveness. I learned to be assertive while still maintaining respect. I had previously lived very passively and never voiced my opinion much. One major lesson I learned through counseling is that no matter how much I wish my mom was able to read my mind and know that I needed help, she would never really know what she could do for me until I gained the courage to speak up and ask for it myself. At one point, I honestly believed that my mom did not love me. We could not be around each other for even a minute without arguing. Today, I see her as one of the closest people to me. Our relationship has grown so strong through all of our openness and readiness to listen and cooperate. So, as it took me 18 years to truly realize, positive relationships are essential in life, especially those within the family.